Audiobook Academy. Book Summary. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. By Lewis Carroll. 1865 saw the publication of Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, often abbreviated as Alice in Wonderland. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland are viewed as a dream because the plot begins and ends with her waking up, therefore we can see them all as a dream. As a children's fantasy novel, this book is rich with fantastical aspects and follows the rules of the category over its whole runtime. Characters with strange appearances like personified playing cards or a rabbit dressed in a tailcoat and a wristwatch comprise the fantastical components. While the individuals themselves are interesting, the rabbit hole in which Alice fell has a unique quality. Because Alice was falling so slowly and ignorant of time or distance, she was able to fall asleep for a short period of time. The fall itself was regarded as particularly unusual and astonishing. Not only is this a portrayal of a physical fall in another realm, but it can also serve as a metaphor for the process of falling asleep. One of the novel's most intriguing fantasy elements is the uncertainty surrounding the definition of the term fall. By giving the characters both good and terrible characteristics and painting his surroundings in caricature, the author is playing with the world of illusions. In spite of the fact that the plot is implausible, the author was able to build a believable world of imagination that is appropriate for youngsters and serves as an example of imagination. At a riverbank, Alice's sister is reading a book, and Alice feels both bored and drowsy. In addition to the beginning, Alice's sister awakens her up from her slumber in the conclusion, which makes the ending realistic as well. Along with the White Rabbit, Alice is the sole actual character in the story. Her sister, on the other hand, plays the role of someone who simply helps Alice enter and exit the fantasy world. It's a common theme in film and theater adaptations of this novel, where Wonderland is a realm where dreams come true and fantasy permeates everyday life. After Alice fell into the rabbit hole, the author set out to make the impossible a reality for her readers. The author of the two-dimensional world dreamt up the shift from reality to unreality while leaving readers engaged, excited, and impatient in this tale, which ignites children's imaginations. On the riverbank, Alice and her sister were snoozing as her sister read an insipid book that had no illustrations. As Alice was pondering making flower wreaths, a talking rabbit strolled by, dressed in a tailcoat and a watch, and interrupted her. Alice decided to follow the rabbit while he was berating himself for being late, but he vanished into the bushes den. When Alice followed him into the hole, she became increasingly alarmed as she plunged further into the pit of fear. She continued to plummet into the blackness, completely oblivious to the rate, duration, and length of her descent. She couldn't help but imagine herself in a country like New Zealand, where people walk on the tops of their heads. As the darkness thinned, she spotted a slew of objects tumbling through the hole with her, including bookcases, closets, clocks, and geography maps. It wasn't long until she returned the orange jam jar to its shelf, having eaten all of it. Alice began to wonder if her cat would be able to capture bats, so she started thinking about her pet. She suddenly landed on a large mound of leaves, which terminated her fall. After landing, Alice found herself in a long corridor where she observed a frantic white rabbit making his way out. A long, dimly lit chamber with a large number of doors was where she entered in an attempt to follow him. She tried to unlock the doors with a key after finding it on a glass table, but it didn't fit any of them. A key was all that was needed to open a set of tiny doors at the end of the chamber, but she was too huge to fit through them. The entrance opened onto a lovely garden, complete with water features and blooming flowers. Everything becomes feasible from that point forward. A glass bottle with a "drink me" note was waiting for Alice when she returned to the glass desk. It took her a while to realize she had forgotten the key, so she began to cry and eventually spotted a biscuit in a glass box. She was able to fit through the door. Seeing the words "Eat me" on a glass container, Alice ate the cookie, resulting in her height increasing till her head struck the ceiling. As she realized that she is now too large to play in the garden, she burst into tears once more. She soon heard tapping and spotted a white rabbit complaining about being late for a meeting with the Duchess while sporting white gloves and a fan. Alice spoke to him, and he became frightened and threw the gloves and fan as he fled. A fan and gloves were all that Alice needed to calm herself off. She stole the key and left the rest of her possessions behind when she was just the right size to fit through the doors. After she shed her tears, she found herself in a salty water pond. To get around, she had to go swimming, where she encountered a slew of aquatic creatures. It was an exciting time to be outside with all the wildlife. We saw lots of waterfowl and birds of prey in the sky. She finally arrived at the shore, where she encountered additional animals, including turkeys, a colorful reptile, a large frog, bears, rabbits, and a wide variety of birds. A white rabbit approached and advised her to hurry up and report to the Duchess because she probably has some assignment for her while she was brushing off the water from her clothes. To her astonishment, the white rabbit insisted on explaining to Alice that she must labor and that he too is overburdened. As a result of Alice's response, the white rabbit fled and a nearby caterpillar fainted because he feels treated like a servant. In an attempt to flee, Alice made use of this opportunity, but she was too small, shorter than the grass. On top of one mushroom, there was a hookah-smoking caterpillar, who informed Alice that the Queen is the real ruler of this army of paper playing cards, and that she should ignore the Duchess. While Alice was in Wonderland, the White Rabbit and the Mad Hatter were each cooking rock. It wasn't long before Alice spotted a Siamese cat perched on a nearby tree. This caused the cat to be offended, so Alice apologized for the cat's warning that she wouldn't be invited to the Queen's residence ever again. Alice persisted in her quest, interrogating each animal she encountered to learn more about the White Rabbit. On her alone, she discovered his whereabouts without the help of any other animals. She met the fish, who transported her to the Duchess after she saw the White Rabbit. At the same time, she was yelling at her staff as she threw meat in pots, pans, and skillets around the kitchen. In response to the Duchess's instructions to Alice, a fish snarled, "The Queen will never allow you approach her." Duchess threatened to eat fish, so the two of them went to meet the Queen together after fish transformed into a swallow and flew away. Alice was taken aback by the appearance of the castle and the playing card army as she entered the courtyard. They proclaimed the entrance of the Queen and her king. Astonished by her appearance, Queen Victoria had the troops imprison the Duchess and offer Alice as a royal gift, which the Duchess gladly obliged. Alice was enraged and informed them that she had gone to the school and was competent of composing, reading, and reciting a wide range of poetry. She was. Watching over the flowers that had not bloomed was deemed a waste of her time and talents by the Queen. Angry and desiring to shrink back to her normal size and escape this insane country, Alice refused the Queen's request. The Duchess told her to calm down before she sparked a confrontation with the monarch. Upon her arrival in the new area of the yard, Alice encountered a large number of turtles, as well as a lion with wings. Although the turtle was crying the entire time, she and the lion performed an amusing dance that caused Alice to burst out laughing. Because the turtle had bet on winning the race with White Rabbit, Alice had to give him her hat, which symbolized her dignity and honor. The Hatter Bill refused to create the turtle a new hat, and Alice tried to cheer her up. Due to Bill the Hatter's sloth, Queen decided to put him on trial. The declaration of a judgment would be heralded shortly by the sound of trumpets. Refusing to give up his cup of tea in the courthouse, Bill decided to drink it in the name of the king, and the soldiers were amused by his determination to do so. Bill the Hatter was sentenced to a week in prison by the White Rabbit, who read the verdict. Even though he reminded the Queen of his imprisonment, she said that she could go without a new headpiece for 1 week. It wasn't long before the Queen recognized Alice and ordered her imprisonment and execution. Even though Alice isn't an animal, the White Rabbit tried to enlighten the Queen by pointing out that she is, in fact, one of many members of the child species that he has encountered in a realm that is far away. Before long, Alice's head had broken through the roof of the courthouse because she had drunk the bottle with the sign "Drink me" while he was talking. The Queen sent the troops to arrest Alice, but she rebuffed them and announced that she was returning to her country of origin. Alice awoke to the sound of her sister's voice waking her up and telling her that she had had enough sleep. As Alice awoke in the real world, her sister was still reading by the riverbank. She was fortunate to wake up in the real world, but she was also sad to leave Wonderland. She shared her dream with her sister and then went back to her house for a cup of tea. In the midst of her thoughts, her sister put down a book she was reading to reflect on Alice, her stories, and the good she had done in the world. Alice's sister realized that Alice would grow up to be a person who enjoys telling children stories and fairy tales, perhaps even the story of Wonderland. She'll reminisce about her upbringing and her lifelong commitment to helping those in need. Readers will be transported to Wonderland thanks to the story's central character, Alice, who is based on a real-life young woman. Alice is a sweet young lady with a vivid imagination, and she takes us on an emotional journey that is equal parts funny and sad. We learn a lot about Alice via her sister's ideas at the end of the novel, which aren't based solely on her dreams. As well as adoring her surroundings and telling stories, Alice is also curious, sweet, and compassionate. It doesn't matter if she's in the real world or the Wonderland, her innocent and pure heart interacts perfectly with the world around her. As Alice's sister, we can journey into and out of fantasy worlds with her, and we can gain a deeper understanding of Alice through her ideas. A man in a tailcoat and a watch who arrives in Alice's dream. According to his demeanor, he does not condone the use of time in a wasteful manner, at least not publicly. Alice was drawn into the rabbit hole by his antics. At all times he seeks the attention of the Countess of Holland. The White Rabbit was tasked with reading Bill the Hatter's verdict, because he enjoys foisting extra work onto others. When it comes to saving Alice from arrest, he feels he's the busiest person on the planet. The infamous and difficult-to-reach Queen of Wonderland, the focus of all discussions, is ultimately of no consequence. Despite her appearance, she is just a cardboard queen from a deck of cards. Besides the king, she has an army of paper warriors to support her as well. Her sole responsibility is to issue orders for the arrest or beheading of individuals and to assign newcomers to appropriate jobs. Every day she wears a new hat that makes her look ferocious and brave. To whom White Rabbit has pledged his allegiance and admiration. When they first met, the Duchess threw things around and yelled, giving Alice the impression that she was an unpleasant person. The Queen refuses to meet with the Duchess unless she brings Alice with her. Also known for her short fuse and lack of tolerance, as well as her tendency to micromanage people. Charles Lutwidge Dodson, aka Lewis Carroll, was born on January 27, 1832, in Daresbury, England. One of the world's most acclaimed writers and photographers, as well as one of the world's greatest mathematicians. For many years, his Alice in Wonderland tale has been a favorite of children and adults alike. In addition to Chasing the Mirror, he penned a number of short stories. When Lewis Carroll was a student at the University of Oxford in the 1850s, he became an Anglican clergyman at the same time. He begins relating the tales to the daughter of the dean of the university only 4 years after the events of the first film. Those stories were later renamed The Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and published. Chasing the Mirror, based on the novel, was also a big success. An Alice Liddell connection has been made, according to some, as the book's epigraph mentions Alice Liddell towards the end. Carroll died in Guildford in 1898. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.